Being diagnosed with adult ADHD has just made me feel free and loved. Like, I love myself and my brain and who I am. Finally, now. I'm not a licensed professional. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I am simply just explaining my experience and what has been working for me and my own journey. I got my headband on. The kids are in daycare, so I have some time to myself. First of all, really miss you guys. I have been absent here because my depression hit. And I was having depressive episodes, took a break on YouTube, started microdosing mushrooms, and it helped tremendously. Been helping. And then I think I came to the realization that my depression might be related to like premenstrual depressive disorder. This video is specifically, hold on, let me make this smaller because this is kind of bugging me. I am growing my hair out, mildly regretting it. That does not look better. Oh no, oh no. I look like a wet dog. I guess this is a perfect intro because this is my coming out story. Not that type of coming out yet. As you can tell from the title, I have adult ADHD. I was recently diagnosed and I wanted to vlog this entire experience because it's just a mind F. Hiya. I was editing this video and I am so all over the place, which is expected. So let me just like give you a quick little timeline. What I went through just to even get diagnosed, because I realized I didn't really explain that. So let's just do that. I had to write down notes because I knew I was gonna forget. So I had my first screening call. Get this diagnosis just to prove to myself that I'm okay. I didn't realize like I would cry like that about this. I'm sorry. That doctor then sent me to go.
You need to have a sleep study. Then I want you to come back and be evaluated for ADHD.
She said that if I have sleep apnea, it's harder to tell whether the symptoms are sleep apnea or adult ADHD. And then I cried because I got more frustrated. I did the sleep apnea test and it came back negative. So I don't have sleep apnea. And then I called the doctor. I got her direct line because I didn't want to go through the hoops and ladders of like what it is to seek mental health help through Kaiser. I called the doctor, was sent her a voicemail, left multiple voicemails twice a week for a month. Stefano was like, Jamie, I really think you should just call the mental health line. Turns out that doctor left and I just was being sent to her voicemail thinking that she was going to be able to help me. And they apologized and set me up with another screening. So this is my second call. Had to repeat my story again, go through like the mental bullshit of trying to convince them that I have adult ADHD, reminding them all of my symptoms, what it was like in my childhood. During that time, I was on the tail end of my depression. You know when you have to fill out that survey before the call about like 1 to 10, like how many days have you been sad? It turns out that I just looked like I was very, very sad, which I was, but I was on the tail end of it. And he was like, unfortunately, I can't assess you because if you're depressed, it affects the test and we don't know whether it's depression or if it's adult ADHD. And I was like, are you kidding me? Everything happens for a reason, because when I was talking to him, I was like, holy shit, my period just ended and I just feel clearer. And that's when I realized maybe it's premenstrual depressive disorder. And I asked Stefano, and he keeps a record of like how my depressive episodes are and when it is, and it's usually around my period. This entire time I'm trying to figure out like what is wrong with me, what is the root of my depression, could it be linked to my ADD, what's going on? He's like, okay, I'm gonna write these notes and I'm gonna have your psych reach out to you. This is the same psych who prescribed me Zoloft and Prozac, and so she already knows my medical history, knows how I've been feeling. I talked to my psych and she says, okay, yep, you definitely have adult ADHD. She told me to contact my gyno, see what's going on with my hormones. Maybe I can switch birth controls. So I talked to my gyno, I got the IUD removed, and then I started Vyvanse. And instantly, I started to feel better. I share this here because the system is so messed up and that we have to advocate for ourselves. And I keep saying that over and over and over again, but it's so true. It's so easy for them to kind of like push you away or to say it's something else. You got to believe in yourself and you got to push for yourself. And if it's not that doctor, to call the other doctor. I'm way more at peace and happy now just in my day-to-day life than I was, like 2 months ago before I started taking medicine, before I was diagnosed. For the longest time, I knew that I had ADHD. I knew that something was wrong, and I just never was supported. My mom and dad didn't think I had it. Close friends and family didn't think I had it. My closest ones knew, like Steph knew, my best friend Emily knew. When I told them, they were like, yay, finally, you have the answer you've always wanted. Of course you have it. Now it's time for me to do more research on my end and just learn about how my brain works. Start working with my brain rather than fighting against it and trying to conform into a small little like perfect ball of like what everyone who doesn't have ADHD or isn't neurodivergent, like just not to fit into that like normal box. I just find so much comfort in knowing that like, oh, the reason why you are all over the place is that's just how your brain works. It's hard to stay on track. It's hard to not get distracted. It's hard to finish tasks. It's hard to like, I'm so bad at creating a schedule. And I've always been like, why can't, like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I do that? And it's like, oh no, it's just that's how your brain works. Of course, as I was getting ready, I was like, I'm going to talk about this and this and this and this. And then as I have the camera here, I totally forgot. It's such an emotional roller coaster, like being 33 and finally like getting the answer that I've always wanted. Like even now I still think like, do I really have it? Like I'm gaslighting myself because I've been told since I was a young child, and even like other doctors that I spoke to, they were like, no, I don't think you have it. I think you just have depression, anxiety. But little do people know that like those are interlinked. A lot of women who, one, are misdiagnosed ADHD for either like have anxiety and depression or bipolar, they diagnose them as that rather than adult ADHD. From my research, ADHD is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. First of all, like women weren't even diagnosed with ADHD until the late 90s. So this is all new stuff. Let alone there isn't enough research about ADHD. And now so many people are finally opening up and talking about that they're diagnosed as adults. There's so many like light bulb moments where like, wait, that's how my brain works. I definitely have it. Some other symptoms other than hyperactivity, a lot of women suffer from like headaches, stomach pains, anxiety. I suffered with the third one. And even then, I got diagnosed from my doctor a few days ago. I'm picking up my FRIENDZ, which is the meds that's supposed to help my brain work and like act like a normal person without ADHD. I know I'm rambling and I'm all over the place and there's so much that I want to talk about, and I guess like throughout the day I'll just like turn on the camera and record it. It's just so hard to do things. And so I'm hoping that this medication helps. I'm not against medication. I know that when I was on my antidepressants, it worked for a little bit. It got me out of bed. It made me feel better. But over time, once I was on it for like over a year and a half, 2, I just felt like I was kind of like numb. But I am excited to try FRIENDZ and like use it in a way where it's like when I know I have to have a productive day or if I know I'm struggling, I can take it. And that's what my psych told me. Because I am a lightweight, I have like the lowest dose. I'm just thinking about everything that I have to do. That's another thing. I get so incredibly overwhelmed so fast. Yesterday something happened. I took the kids to the park. Soul had a tantrum, and that just like set me over the edge because usually I'd be really patient and able to kind of like talk him down. But it got to the point where I just freaking dragged him out. I was like, nope, lift him up, dragged him out. He started hitting me. That's why I was like, I'm drawing the line here. You're obviously very tired. We can talk about this in the car. And that's another thing about my mental health. Like before, if I did that, I would feel like a really terrible mom. Yesterday, I was like, this had to happen. Like tough shit. And that's how you know my mental health is better. After all that happened, there was more screaming that happened after, more tantrums, and I guess my cup was too full. Yesterday I just needed to like go to bed and like regroup. I was like, why am I getting so anxious? And it was like, oh, it's because there are at least like 4 loads of laundry that need to be folded. I can't even look in my closet because it's a mess. Like, look, that's all clothes that I haven't been able to put away. I'm using a pillow as a tripod. All over the house is a mess. It was my dad's birthday and I made it a priority to like do things for him, and other things in the back burner. We had the shoot last week. Like, life has just been a little bit. Once I realized when I was like laying in bed, like that's what's going on, that's when I was like, oh, that's why you're not feeling 100%, because you haven't had any time to yourself. You haven't had time to take care of the house. You haven't had time to do anything for HellaJam. And also, like, you just got diagnosed ADHD. It's okay. Like, stop being so hard on yourself. Stop looking forward, like 10 steps forward. Take it one day at a time. And that, my friends, is growth. All right. I didn't realize it's like never fucking ending, man. I have to pick up my ADHD meds, and then I also have to do a drug test. Talked to my psych and told her that, like, I definitely do smoke weed. She was like, when was the last time? It was on Sunday. She said it should be, if you aren't smoking every single day, which I'm not. Since I've been microdosing mushrooms, I haven't been smoking every single day, just to give it 4 days for it to get out of your system. Today's the 4th day, so I'm going to get my meds, and then I need to do the lab test. And she said, if it comes back negative, no worries, I'll just do another order. You'll just have to pass the next one in order for you to get a refill of your prescription. I just did a YouTube live. Didn't realize I would feel so like bleh throughout it. Anyways, I still have to do some laundry, so let me do that. Never ending. What goes where, Jamie? Like, what stack goes where? I'm like completely lost right now. But I know that if I don't finish this task right now, I'm not going to finish it. Like, where's Stefano's pile? Where's mine? I guess what I can't explain is that nobody really talks about growing pains, like the realizations of growing, getting like flashbacks of your childhood and then that you definitely forgot about, and then having to navigate your feelings on that, or when you become a parent, having to like do better than how your parents were to you. My parents were fucking great, don't get me wrong, but they definitely could have done better. They tried their best with everything that they were given, you know. Right after my call with my doctor, and I got the confirmation that I do in fact have ADHD, I called my parents hoping to just like get some type of like, I don't know, what was I expecting? Some like love, some congrats, some whatever, and then they just didn't really acknowledge it, really. They were just like, oh, okay. And in my heart, I wanted like a, so happy that you're feeling like validated, or I'm so happy that you got the help that you need, or I don't know. But I can't hold those expectations of my parents, you know. I can't, that's not fair to them, because how do they know? I feel like when it comes to my parents, sometimes I just need to kind of like, I have a hard time accepting that they're living the life that they want to live. And so it's like, I just wish that I just need to not give it any more attention than it needs, you know? Like, I find that my mental health declines because I care so deeply. All I'm saying is that I just wish I had, like, as an adult, I wish I had the support that Steph gives me from my parents. He's like shown me so much love and support that I didn't know that I could have, or that I was deserving of. He just says all the right things, and he really does mean it. I wouldn't have continued to like book the appointment and just talk to the doctor, because it's such a fucking headache to do, you know, if it weren't for him. ADD. Let's turn that off. I've learned that ADD for me is never, ever wanting to do the socks. I hate it. The bane of my existence. The likelihood of us finding the socks, finding matching pairs is close to none. I pretty much fold everything else, and then I put almost everything away, and then I forget about it, and then I get frustrated in the morning because we can't find socks. It's an onward cycle. This is dirty. Ay, ay, ay. Hi! What's up, y'all? I have so much to fill you in on. I want to give you like an update on how I've been and how my ADHD journey's been and what I've been doing with my meds and how it's been helping me. I feel like this is like not focusing. Is that focused? Hi. I think the biggest life-changing moment for me was just finally being diagnosed and just knowing that like, okay, you've known in your gut that you've had this, and finally somebody is telling you like, hey, yeah, this is how your brain works. Now it's time to reframe, figure out how to work with your brain rather than against it. For me, I basically had a call with my psych, and she was like, yep, you have it. I was like, okay, well, what are the next steps? And she's like, are you hesitant? Like, I know that you don't like being on antidepressants. I know you don't like meds, but all I remember her saying is like medication. I was straight up and honest with her, and I was like, listen, I, for whatever reason, was prescribed Adderall in college. And even the 5 milligram for me, which is the lowest dose, was a lot. I'm very, very sensitive to medication. So I asked her, like, if we do this, I don't like feeling cracked out. And that's what I was afraid of. When I was in college and I took my prescribed Adderall, which was the lowest dose, it would hit me so fast and I'd be able to study and do what I need to do. But then after I would like feel kind of like cracked out, and I didn't like that feeling. And I was fully transparent with her. And she was like, there's a difference between like a fast acting, which is like the pressed pill of the Adderall that you took, and then a slow acting, which is like a capsule. Right now I'm on 10 milligrams of the slow release Vyvanse. I take it in the morning. I have a breakfast. The Vyvanse has helped so much. One, I don't feel cracked out. I just feel like, oh, hey, this is how my brain's supposed to be working. The biggest thing for me is that I don't feel overwhelmed anymore. And I'm just so at peace with how my brain works. I'm so at peace with like, hey, there's so much laundry to do. There's dishes, there's the kids, there's my work. I have so many things that I have to do. But with Vyvanse, my brain's like, okay, let's just take it step by step. If you do the laundry, great. If you don't, it's okay. I don't spiral. I don't spiral like I used to, where it's like, oh my God, I have to do this and this and this and this. I'm not anxious. I don't snap at my kids as much anymore because I'm like much more patient. I also realized I would get too overstimulated, and that like I would just snap because I'm just like, they're constantly all over me. Like, mommy, I want this, I want this, da, 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 like, cuddle me, I want you. I would, like, it was just so much for me. And I realized after listening to podcasts and like learning about adult ADHD in women, it's common for us to feel overstimulated and snap. When you're in school, you're used to the routine of like, okay, you wake up, you eat breakfast, you go from class to class to class. You have a schedule. For a lot of women who have adult ADHD that are moms, we struggle even more because it's like, too much to juggle, too much to figure out a schedule, too much to do everything, and then we just crash. The Vyvanse has just made me realize like, okay, Jamie, this is just how your brain works. And it's okay. It's a beautiful thing. And instead of me fighting it like I have my entire life and like feeling like I'm such an idiot or incapable or like, why can't I do this? Instead, I'm just like, hey, like, why don't we lean in and appreciate the beautiful parts of how your brain works? Your brain works this way for a reason. It's been like so incredibly healing to just be diagnosed and to be on meds, to have meds that work. I had a follow-up call with my psych. She's like, if you can explain how you're feeling in like 2 words. And I was like, at peace. And I realized like, okay, this is what's been missing. This is what the issue has been. This is why I've struggled with depression my entire life, is because and anxiety, it's because I've never been treated for my ADHD. And now that I have, I'm just like, okay, like I could take the kids to the zoo and not be overwhelmed or not be insecure and not be anxious of like all these different things that I have to do or being pulled left and right by my kids. I went to the zoo the other day and we had the best time. I was able to like
talk to them gently and effectively and not let it consume me. Like my daughter had a fit, and instead of me like correcting her or letting her emotions affect me, I was like, all right, go ahead. You want to hide in that dome at the playground because you're upset for me for no reason? Okay, take your time. Whereas before I'd be like, react differently. I've never been one to have a schedule or to be consistent. I still don't have a schedule. I don't have a consistent thing, but I'm accepting of it. I'm like, okay, Jamie, you're never gonna be that morning routine person. But what you can do is you can take baby steps to be like, okay, what are things that you wanna do where you know that you're gonna feel better doing? What are small things? It's just been so life-changing, and I tell a lot of my friends and my family that check in on me, like, how's your mental health? How are you doing? And it's like, Vyvanse and being diagnosed with adult ADHD and just knowing has just changed my life dramatically. I'm gonna keep doing my research, keep learning about adult ADHD in women, because women are very different than men in terms of how ADHD shows up for us. I'm just gonna keep taking it step by step. I've been dragging my feet to edit a YouTube video, and yesterday I edited it and I was like, oh my God, it feels so good to be back. Every time it feels good to be back. It's just the editing that sometimes is like really, really taxing for me. And I was able to edit and not feel overwhelmed or feel like, oh my gosh, I have to finish this, or pressured. I guess the biggest thing is I just feel a lot of self-love for myself. A new level of self-love has been unlocked. And I know that it's hereditary, and my kids are probably gonna have ADHD just like, because Stefano and I both have it. But now I see my kids and I'm like, oh, they're not listening because they're distracted. We can learn together how to like foster our ADHD brains. If they're overwhelmed, all right, how do I reframe this so they can actually comprehend and listen or pay attention? Or if they have to get the wiggles out, like, let's get it out together. I feel free. I feel free. Feels great.
So I don't know if these videos are going to be helpful. I don't know if people are actually going to see these videos. As always, I just want to share in hopes that it brings some comfort to some people who may be struggling with what I've struggled with, or may feel the same way that I feel or have felt. If you liked this video and you want to subscribe, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you get notified every time I post a video. Thanks for joining this journey. Okay, peace.